So, in the past, I've made two videos covering the Contrapoints issue, and I received pretty unfavorable feedback uh, on the first one. The second one's about even with the like to dislike ratio. But essentially, what I say, what I try to say, is that the things Contrapoints said in her series of tweets came across as insulting to non binary, non passable people. And even if that was not her intention, even if her intention was only to vent about dysphoria, to vent about being misgendered, it didn't come across that way, not to me and not to a whole lot of non-binary people who look up to Contrapoints as a sort of leader, or not even a leader, but just as an inspirational figure. Here is a trans woman who is unafraid to go on YouTube, to subject herself to the harassment of the internet, and to speak her mind. Now, occasionally, and this happens to the greatest of us, we wind up putting our foots in our mouths. And mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to happen to me one day. I'm going to say something, I'm going to make a boo-boo. And you best believe I am taking notes, copious notes, on how to react and to respond to these situations. How should we, as a community, react and respond to these situations when they happen? And they will happen again. Maybe not to Contrapoints, but somebody else. Alright, somebody else is going to say something stupid, something problematic, something that will offend and divide the community. This is not something that I feel like we should act all shocked and chagrined when it does happen. Alright, we can't allow ourselves to prop ourselves up on a few basic pillars. What I'm trying to say is we can't allow our entire internet movement to be propped up by a few users. Alright, 3 users, 4 users, and they are the only ones who are holding this whole machine, this whole movement up. Alright, and if Contrapoints falls, we can't allow the entire movement to fall with it. It's too important. That being said, I don't think Contrapoints is in any kind of danger, and she never has been. This entire thing has been a completely fabricated farce. Alright? Contrapoints, all she did was deactivate her Twitter after she caught some shit about some dumb thing she said. Alright? And I am right to call them dumb things. Apparently a lot more people than me think so. And hey, we're all entitled to our opinion. And do I think that Contrapoints was being malicious? Do I think she was trying to be malicious towards non-binary people in her comments? No, I don't. But it came across that way. And, even if that was not her intention, it still came across that way. And so I'm not going to sit up here and tell non-binary people that they aren't allowed to be offended, they aren't allowed to be mad. But I'm going to hop off my soapbox, and we're going to go to a true scholar of the West, the Thinkery, because I need to think about this. And this is what the description says. It says, it was only a matter of time until Natalie Wynn, otherwise known as Contrapoints, was outed as a transphobe. So this is everyone's favorite person who makes fun of mentally disabled little girls, Sturgeon of Akkad, the loser of the UKIP elections. He is a true class act. I've covered him on my channel in Dankey Kang lore past, and I guess I'm covering him again. So let's see what this fucking chud piece of shit has to say while I find some tunes for us to listen to.
Got cancelled then? she appears to have deleted her Twitter account because of a mob of harassers that came after her for saying something that I suppose we will call broadly transphobic. These are broadly the two schools of thought on that. Sees Contrapoints deleted. Begone true scum. I'm not even sure what true scum means. Well, Nat deleted her Twitter after a sustained campaign of backlash featuring blatantly untrue Contrapoints hates NBs, which is non-binaries, narrative. Congrats, trans Twitter, we did it. Yes, you ate your own once again. I mean, Contrapoints is one of your strongest voices. You guys ascribe to her the deconversion of many, many right-wingers, which I'm yet to see any evidence of, but...
You haven't seen any evidence of it? Well, dude, have you read any of her comments section? It's full of people saying such. I'm gonna have to speed this motherfucker up because I can't stand to stomach Sargon for longer than I have to. Sargon, like, watching a Sargon video for me is like treading into Chernobyl, and I can only do it at certain intervals of time. Alright, I can't fucking stay in the dead zone too long.
Let's just assume that that's true. Contrapoints is doing a good job for your team, and to be fair, Contrapoints is not that bad. Like, her videos are not awful, they're not great.
Yeah, they're a lot better than yours are, bitch. They're a hell of a lot better than mine. Sargon, your videos and my videos are on the same tier of quality. You can't, there's, in no fucking universe can you even begin to compare yourself to Contrapoints and her production values. Fuck off.
Great, in my opinion, but they're not awful, and I certainly don't think that she should be harassed off any platform, and I certainly don't think she's not even worth engaging with. Like, I have debated with Contrapoints in the past. I might not agree, but at least she reasons out her positions. She's not just being reactive, unlike you guys. And you'll notice that the people who want Contrapoints gone are massive autists. Like, this is the thing, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, keeping it real, Sargon. Once again with the right-wing projection, they are coming out saying that anybody who criticizes Contrapoints is autistic. Cool, dude. He's going there, ladies and gentlemen.
Whenever anyone gets successful, there are always small communities with whom that individual does not agree, and they get really resentful. A percentage of them will get really, really resentful.
If he's gonna go along with the narrative that I think he's going to go along with, he's wrong. Let me nip that little shit in the bud right here, right now, and say that it is not non-binaries people's fault that Contrapoints went on this little Twitter tirade, said some stupid shit, and made them mad. Alright, it's not their fucking fault. They are justified in their anger. Right? They're justified. It's not like this shit just came out of the blue. It's not like these people were hateful and resentful. They hate Contrapoints. The people like me that criticize these tweets, we say this from a point of constructive criticism. I've never ever said in any of my videos that I think we should cancel Contrapoints. I never said that. And you have idiots like Sargon from the right who are smearing this entire thing over as being, oh, it's just internet backlash drama. Because, you know, these right-wing chud scum, they're so used to being called racist, sexist, homophobe, transphobe, they don't give a flying fuck anymore. But when it happens to somebody on the left, that requires observation. That requires people to analyze and answer that situation. Alright, Sargon's whole analysis of this is the most shallow analysis you could get, ladies and gentlemen, because all he's doing is seeing these so-called autistic, Contrapoints haters, and are just blindly turning against her for no other reason than the fact that they hate her. They can't stand her fame. Sargon definitely projects that exact same mentality on his own detractors, the people that call him a fucking piece of shit. People like me, he probably thinks I'm just jealous of his views. I'm not jealous of his views. I don't want any of your viewers to watch my videos, Sargon, because you're an asshat.
And degenerate into absolute pathological hatred, right? There is someone who has an account on YouTube called Carl Van Dopamine, and literally every video on here that features my name in any way, shape, or form, he'll leave a link to some, like some video or something that is just shitting on me. It's like, I mean, I don't care that you do it, but it's weird that you're that compelled to do it. But
Oh yeah, but it's not anything like what Sargon did to Anita Sarkeesian for years and years and years. He milked the fucking Anita Sarkeesian train. He milked that fucking thing to death. He drove that train into the middle of the swamp, ladies and gentlemen. Sargon is just once again a giant hypocrite accusing the left of doing
Contrapoints.
this.
I was waiting for this to happen to Contrapoints, and here we are. This is the place that we're at. These are the people. The degenerate furry. No.
Alright, coming in with the degenerate remark. Once again, these chuds are the real degenerates, ladies and gentlemen. They are the ones who want to pull us back into the fucking dark ages, where you have the El Duce, and everyone has to gather around in a circle and suck El Duce's dick. And give your sons to die off in the war.
Non-binaries. Contrapoints, little hate community. So what did Contrapoints do that deserved being bullied to the point of shutting down her own Twitter profile? Well, she said this. I'm friends with a lot of Gen Z trans people, and I'm often grouped in with them because I'm very online and I transitioned not that long ago. But my experience is very different. I'm not a Vanguard Zoomer tran. Sometimes I feel like the last of the old school transsexuals. Okay. But I also understand why a lot of trans people who just want to blend in are frustrated with the new visibility and with the radicals. I'm feeling fearful myself about the future of trans acceptance, and I understand the desire to be invisible, tolerated, safe. Well, I can understand why Contrapoints thinks that, considering acceptance of LGBT lifestyles has gone from like 60% to 40% in the last few years, because, let's be honest, the trans...
Because of chuds like you, Sargon, and the kind of bullshit propaganda you churn out and call it thinkery. Think on
activists
that.
are fucking insufferable, aren't they? they seem...
Wait.
Let's be honest, the trans activists are fucking insufferable, aren't they?
Trans activists are fucking insufferable. You know who I find insufferable, Sargon? I find fucks like you absolutely insufferable. I can't stomach to be around you longer than is possibly necessary. I don't even like covering your videos on my channel because I just can't fucking stand hearing your smug fucking voice and looking at your smug fucking face or your stupid fucking Sargon of Akkad avatar.
They seem to be turning into wacky degenerates. So I'm just saying.
Once again, he's playing the degenerate Nazi card. Fucking Sargon, you know, using the fascist language just out in the open. He's not even fucking hiding it.
Seen the pictures of the pride parades, and I'm starting to think maybe you can be a little less proud at this point. But now you go into these leftist Discord Facebook groups, and it's like 20 to 30% identify some flavour of trans. Most of them are not conventional binary transsexuals. That seems to be the future. Now, I mean, this seems like totally tepid critiquing, in my opinion. Like, there's nothing here that I can see any massive outrage over. I don't think that she's condemning these people. She's just saying that she's not one of them. Contrapoints is a binary person. She has transitioned from male to female. The NBs, the non-binaries, somehow have a problem with this. And obviously you've got a lot of support from both wings. And I just want to say, I'm on the wing who doesn't generally agree with Contrapoints, but supports her not being cancelled in this way. This is horrible. This is just a mob of bullies. And
once again, she hasn't been cancelled. Alright? It's not like she was fired from her job. It's not like her YouTube channel was deleted. She deactivated temporarily her Twitter account after receiving backlash over comments that she made. She chose to make them. Contrapoints is a big girl. She's a grown girl, and she's responsible for the words that she tweets, just like I'm responsible for the content that I put out in my videos, just like you're responsible for what you say, Sargon, even though you try to deny it, you try to backpedal, you try to pretend like you're not just this racist fucking fascist piece of shit.
It seems that Contrapoints is not that kind of person, like that kind of aggressive person. But anyway, this person says, God, I hate leftist infighting. Listen, Contra is overall great. Her vids have even done well to de-radicalise from the right and radicalise to the left. Well, at least we admit that we're radicalising to the left. That's what Contrapoints does. She radicalises to the left. Okay, I'm glad we agree, right? We can't just toss her out saying one thing. Yes, critique what people say, but just because you disagree on something doesn't mean you just give up on them like they've just committed a sin that can never be forgiven. Well, Comrade Alice, welcome to the left, where sins are unforgivable. But anyway, you get, like the sort of, I guess we'll call them the right-wingers. While I agree with Contrapoints on basically nothing, I agree with cancel culture even less. You fucking people are at it yet again, only days after cancel culture resulted in a suicide. Yep, Zoe Quinn has a body count, Gamergate doesn't. Your toxic social politicking is destroying lives. This is actually a fucking great comment. And it really, really does hit it all of the nails on the head there. That is exactly it. Toxic social politicking. But I mean, people are treating this as the left eating itself, but that's not true. Contra is a liberal, not a leftist. Bullshit. As a liberal, I'm telling you, Contrapoints is not a liberal.
Did Sturgeon of Akkad really call himself a liberal? Dude, if you are a liberal, you're the most right-wing fucking liberal I've ever laid eyes on. You're a fucking fascist. You're a liberal wolf in you're a fascist wolf in liberal sheep's clothing. That's what I tried to say. It's also not cancel cultures to criticize someone for bad behavior and statements that are dangerous because of her influence. Hashtag Contrapoints.
Those are two different things. Also, it's not cancel culture to criticize someone for bad behavior and statements that are dangerous because of their influence. Like, I don't know, man. Like, here's another thing. I've met 20...
That was a comment that pretty much disproved your whole fucking narrative, Sargon, and your whole response to that was, I don't know, man. Let's move on. Let's go through that one more time, because this is Sargon in a nutshell. When confronted with the idea that blatantly disproves his entire fucking narrative that he wants to push of this being cancel culture, hashtag cancel culture, this one comment singularly disproves that notion. And his whole response is... social
politicking. But I mean, people are treating this as the left eating itself, but that's not true. Contra is a liberal, not a leftist. Bullshit. As a liberal, I'm telling you, Contrapoints is not a liberal. Those are two different...
But see, that's the thing. I don't know if Contrapoints is a leftist or not. If she is, she's probably more of the social democrat, liberal, maybe like anarchist variety. Someone called her a champagne socialist. I think that's an apt description. But then again, I don't know. I have watched most of Contrapoints' videos, but I still don't quite know where to place her exactly on the political spectrum. Maybe if she made a video clearing that up, we could all know for sure. But I definitely don't think she's a tanky. I don't really think necessarily she's an anarchist, but I'm not sure on that. I don't know. Maybe she's just a filthy reformist. She could be a fucking Trotskyite for all I know.
Things. Also, it's not cancel culture to criticize someone for bad behavior and statements that are dangerous because of their influence. Like, I don't know, man. Like, here's another thing. I've met 20-year-olds in full-on boy mode who are like, hi, I'm trans woman, she, her pronouns. I think there's a gap in understanding as a result. The younger generation sometimes get frustrated with me because they don't understand my upbringing or how I do things, and in turn, I sometimes have difficulty understanding them. It's pretty strange, really, since the age difference is like not much wider than senior freshman, but it's a world of difference. Things are definitely better now, and it's mind-blowing to think this happened in less than a decade. Okay, like, if like this is really, really tepid observations. Again, I'd have to stress there's really nothing here of particular controversy in my opinion. But I mean, how hypersensitive do the leftist communities have to be for this?
Oh, Sargon, and your selective reading of the tweets. Everybody knows these aren't the fucking tweets that got her in the boiling water, that got her under the microscope. These aren't the tweets, Sargon. Show us the real fucking controversial tweets or shut the fuck up. Once again, he's trying to spin this web. He's trying to spin this narrative that these hyper... sensitive, outraged cucks on the left just got super triggered by these seemingly innocuous tweets that Contrapoints puts out, and they just turned against her like rabid dogs because that's what the left and cancel culture is. They're the one and the same, ladies and gentlemen, and this is definitely cancel culture. This is the sort of bullshit chud narrative that the right wing and that Sargon and Sturgeon of Akkad is trying to push about this Contrapoints drama, and I'm not going to let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. I want the history to show, I want the record to show, this is not cancel culture. And there are people like me who can criticize Contrapoints and still come to her defense when fucktard chuds like this idiot come out and say the stupid things that he says.
To be that, no, you know what, fuck Contrapoints, I hate her. This is being played in defense, right? Because she's like, maybe she just shouldn't have made shitty comments about non-binary people. I don't know, just a thought. Well,
you know, I agree with Alex. You know, I'm gonna find her and follow her on Twitter because, you know, obviously I agree with Alex
A, I mean, I would say that's victim blaming, and B, I don't think her comments were shitty, and C, that's saying that you're okay with being bullied. So Alex, silly trans kid, when the mob come for you, and you find yourself outside of the boundaries of orthodoxy, I guess people will just send you this comment and be like, just a thought. It's one of the reasons there are people like, the far left is a fucking cult, and I'm glad I left. Bravo. I really think you should leave, because you're right, it is a fucking cult. It is a cult.
Oh yeah, but the far right's not a fucking cult. Sure, everybody just suck off El Duce's dick. Definitely not a cult of personality whatsoever.
Without forgiveness. Probably the thing that distinguishes it from being a religion. And then you've got the fence sitters. Are you serious? Tumblr idiots have been harassing Natalie so much she deleted her account. She has done more to help me understand transgender issues and leftist theory than any content creator. Oh no, dude, she's just a liberal. She's not a leftist. This makes me so angry. Let me say, this tweet is not defense of what Natalie said. Why? What she said was not...
Because you're not showing the actual controversial tweets, you dumb fuck. You dishonest cunt. Maybe if you actually showed the real tweets that everyone are getting pissed off about, this would make a little bit more sense to you. You pompous, pissant.
Like, to destroy leftists. It wasn't, or NBs or anything of the sort. But anyway, I don't think she said anything in bad faith, but I understand the criticism being made of her. I'm just fed up with the infighting and toxic cancel culture of the left. Attack Blair White instead. Bravo, brilliant answer. Like, you know what? Attacking people is bad because it's happening to our own. Just attack our enemies instead. Just do that.
That's what I said. There's bigger fish in the ocean. If anybody out there really actually wants Contrapoints to cancel her channel, I would say there's much bigger fish in the ocean. But I don't think anybody is saying let's fucking cancel Contrapoints.
Cancel Blair White. Fucking honestly, the left is just such cancer. Do you understand?
Fuck Blair White and fuck you, Sargon. We should cancel Sargon. Cancel the Thinkery, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get that going.
Cancer.
Fucking
I've been saying
cunt.
it for fucking ages. We need to be mindful of the vicious elements of left community. Oh really? It was okay when they were attacking your enemies, wasn't it? You know, you just need to keep the pit bull on a leash, don't you? There is a subset of griefmongers who...
Oh yeah, because the right's not vicious. The right doesn't dox people. The right doesn't lynch people and kill people and fund death squads and military dictatorships abroad. That never fucking happens. The right are just little dainty daisies, and they never hurt a fucking fly. That's what Sargon wants you to believe, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyone who doesn't toe the line of a certain respectability optic, and it needs to stop. Well, is it a subset though? I mean, is not the entire philosophy of the left, the grand philosophy, the worldview that leads someone to believing any kind of things, is that not all based on griefmongering? I mean, what part of it isn't exactly? What?
Just because you are stupid and you don't understand the concept of class struggle and class antagonisms doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, Sargon. You're just a fucking idiot who is too busy licking the boots of capital. You don't understand how screwed the working class is by the bourgeoisie on a day-to-day basis, and they have been since the onset of capitalism. Alright? You don't understand a historically materialist interpretation of human history. Right? You don't have a fucking goddamn clue. So don't come out here and say that we only tout about in respectability optics and that's the only thing we have going for us, because you don't have a fucking clue, Sturgeon.
Part of it isn't caused by the white supremacist patriarchal capitalist imperialists. Like what part of it is positive and white supremacist griefmongering? I mean, what part of it isn't exactly? What part of it isn't caused by the white supremacist patriarchal capitalist imperialists?
Well, maybe if we could get rid of the white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalist, imperialist, we could fix a lot of the problems of inequality in the society. But it's because of asshats, bootlicking shills like you, Sargon, that hold us back.
Like, what part of it is positive and self-assured and independent of that narrative? I don't think there is any of it, is there? I think it's all toxic, toxic grief-mongering politicking. That's what the left...
If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention, dipshit. There are little kids in cages at the border. Alright? I know this fucker lives in Her Majesty's country, but I don't give a flying fuck. If you're not concerned about that, you don't have a human heart inside of your body. You just have an empty cavity where all the chuds have their empty holes. Alright? The chud hole. Instead of a heart, you got a chud hole, Sargon.
Is at this point. But this is so great the Führer, eugenics Bob Chipman, who recently went to protest at the Straight Pride Parade, because he's so fucking virtuous. Says, checks his fucking privilege. He just checks his privilege. Contrapoints really got bullied off Twitter. That's pretty vile to hear. Oh, careful, Bob. Irrespective of whatever the issue is. Oh, careful, Bob. Well, it's not my lane. Not my place to have a take. Don't bother asking. I hope she's all right. Bob!
Don't bother to have a take. It's not my lane. What lane are you in, dude? This isn't just a problem with the trans community. This isn't just a problem with non-binary folks. This is a problem with the left on YouTube in general, dude. I don't care if you went to the Straight Pride Parade and protest against them. You know, if you want to have a big boy opinion on the internet, then learn the fucking facts. Jesus Christ.
She's a fucking transphobe. Haven't you learned anything yet? Also, you're a cis straight white male. How about you shut your fucking mouth, which is literally what the next comment is? With respect, this is a map for the trans community. Cis people and their takes on this are not welcome.
I don't agree with that. I think Contrapoints' influence is bigger than just the trans community on the internet. She represents one of the faces of the left of YouTube. So, I mean, you know, if it's like Contrapoints, Sean, and I don't know, like Philosophy Tube or something like that, or H Bomber guy, then you know, she's part of the pantheon, dude. So to say this is purely a matter that only trans people should have an opinion on, well, no, I mean, she was the one who chose to rope non-binary people into this, and as an ally of all LGBT people, including non-binaries, I feel the need to speak on this issue, even though I'm a cis scum.
This is an internal trans matter, sir. Like the fucking trans government. Like this is a secret agent of the trans thing. A man in black turns up. No, sorry, citizen, move along. And then, obviously, defense of what's happened. She wasn't bullied off Twitter, Bob. She chose to deactivate instead of listening to other trans folk after days of putting her foot in her mouth with regards to non-binary and non-passing trans people.
I agree with Thanos' butt slut. I mean, that's a pretty sensible take on it. If ever I've seen it, that's pretty much my take.
But she was still bullied off Twitter, dude. I mean, you were the ones doing it, right? You were the ones who are actually responsible for this, and you just
No! Wrong again, Sturgeon. Wrong again. Contrapoints is responsible for what Contrapoints typed on Twitter. She is responsible for what she posted. Alright? She is responsible. It's not non-binaries people's fault for getting angry at what she said. Alright? It's the same thing if I went up to somebody and slapped them in the face and then acted all shocked and chagrined when they tried to fight me back, and I was like, what happened? I didn't do anything. It's the same thing. Even if it was an accidental slap, it still happened and they're still hurt. Alright? It's not their fault. Stop victim blaming, Sargon.
As I understand it, she said some inflammatory and dismissive things about non-binary people, and when criticised, not attacked, about this, rather than be sensible and apologise for her words, she ran away from Twitter and tried to repaint it as her being the victim of a victim unfairly bullied off.
I agree with Jennifer Nicole. Once again, a sensible comment that I agree with and that makes sense.
She wasn't bullied off. So the bullies don't think they've bullied her. They also think that Bob Chipman should shut his fucking mouth and stay in his lane. He is not racially or sexually or in a gendered capacity equipped to be having this discussion. So Bob, know your place.
Alright, once again, let's compare the like ratio. Alright, 273 likes versus 19 likes. Who do you think has more of an influence and a voice? Who do you think had more support? Whose post had more of a support? Alright?
Place.
Once again, Sargon's whole fucking narrative falls apart under the slightest examination. As someone who's actually reviewed the post that she made, yeah, it's quite evident that what she said could be found as deeply hurtful to a lot of non-binary people. It's obvious. I've covered this in my videos in the past. I don't want to just repeat myself over and over again, but you saw how dishonest Sargon was. You saw how he deliberately didn't show the tweets that really got people's goat and that really made people pissed off. He did it on purpose. He did it to push a narrative that the left are a bunch of namby-pamby, little pansy-ass, piss-pants snowflakes that get triggered over every little thing and turn and cannibalize themselves. That's the kind of narrative Sargon wants to push. And he is arguing and pushing this narrative that it's cancel culture, toxic cancel culture on the left. And there ain't no such thing, dog. At least not in this instance. And you can debate me on that any day of the week. This is not fucking cancel culture. Once again, just to show you. Let's go. Let's just go to her fucking channel right here, right now. Oh, look. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Contrapoints' channel's still fucking up. Look. It's here. It's not gone. It's not canceled. I mean, let's go to her Patreon. Alright, I can't see without really becoming a patron. Sorry. I don't have a lot of money. Never really done Patreon. I'm not on Patreon. I've never done Patreon. I don't expect to make a dime off of this channel. You best believe. The muy caliente spicy hot takes I'm putting out, I'd be surprised if anybody gives me a nickel. I mean, she deactivated her Twitter. Big fucking whoop. She can log back in and activate that again anytime she wants. The real meat and potatoes of Contrapoints is on YouTube, and everybody fucking knows it. So this whole narrative being pushed that it's cancel culture is just a fucking lie. It's still here. I can go on any Contrapoints video I want and click on it and watch it. I could have a Contrapoints marathon. In fact, I think I will after this fucking video's done. I think I'm just gonna go have a Contrapoints marathon. Jesus Christ, Sargon of Akkad. Once again, he proves himself for the asshole, hypocrite, dishonest piece of shit that he is. I'm not surprised in the least. Fuck you, Sargon.